indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everyone, thanks for coming. Okay, we're ready for it. We'll start, we have a chance to look over the consent agenda. Take a motion.
Hold on, I do have a question. So on the, so softball coaches, we don't have any assistants yet, right? Or was that in fact, because we didn't have any last year, or in the spring, you didn't do anybody, this is the first.
We have Jonathan Mariani already, and then this would be the second one, so we would be fully staffed.
Okay, how many girls are on the team?
At the interest meeting, there's 25.
Just-
Okay. Anything else? Motion. I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Your second?
Second.
Discussion? Commissioner. Motion carries 6-0. Concerns of Burlington USB 244 patients. We have.
Julie Murphy from Likewise.
So, again, you saw the instruction on it, you got 5 minutes to have a discussion, so there's not gonna be a back and forth. Just
Okay.
tell us what you want to
All
hear.
right, I'll just stand over here. Hopefully everyone can see me.
Sure.
Hello, I'm Julie Luthi. I am an educator myself, and I am a member of the Likewise Steering Committee. My husband and I live here in Burlington, and we have 3 young children. I used to teach high school Spanish over in Yates Center for 8 years. I have seen firsthand students struggling socially and emotionally in the classroom, and therefore unable to thrive academically. It's so disheartening to see your class roster decrease as more and more students opt for online learning or transfer to other schools. LifeWise helps solve and target this dilemma by teaching students Bible-based character education. Students benefit from LifeWise by improved mental health, better academic performance, and character development. Our schools would benefit from an increase in attendance, a decrease in in-school and out-of-school suspensions, and support from the community, because this is an entirely volunteer-ran program. Parents would have the choice to enroll their students in this optional program. What we need from the school is a time slot to provide this weekly program during the school day. The Supreme Court case, Sorick versus Clausen in 1952, makes LifeWise a legal program, and it specifically states to it being during the school time day because it is a release time religious instruction. This allows for equitable opportunities for all of the students. Many students would be unable to participate during an after-school program due to other extracurricular activities or their parents' inability to provide transportation. So I also want to acknowledge and thank Craig Marshall for meeting with our committee. I'm here tonight to urge the board to keep an open mind about LifeWise. We're continuing to raise community support for this program. We already have 150 people that have signed the petition for LifeWise, and we also have the backing of the Ministerial Alliance. So we will be requesting some time at a future board member meeting to explain more. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a pamphlet, can I hand those out?
Sure.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
You don't make so fast.
guys, the board, I shared with you about the land that says south of the high school, west of the rec center, about, again, possible future plans for that land. We really don't have any foreseeable need for that land. Scott Jeffers, which I mentioned to you, Scott and the rec center people are mowing. They'd love to be able to be done with mowing there. The kids really aren't using that land for anything anymore now because of the tech, actually because we have the turf fields. The kids are on the turf fields for practice and games and so on and so forth. Having said that, I shared with you guys, do you want to just keep that land? Do you want to look to do something with it? We talked a little bit about the possibility of maybe turning that into a nice, desirable housing location there. And I visited with Rhonda about this, per my information shared with you. And I guess right now I'll let Rhonda speak on anything she would like to talk about.
Well, Craig and I did go to the commissioner meeting, visited with them a little bit about, as you know, that ditch drainage that's just catty corner down that line and, or the block, and that really is just kind of messing up the whole thing, and we know that. So, we thought we would maybe have to get a plot survey too, but visiting with the city, they did let me know that the one that's there is good enough. There's 14 plots, which of course you would not want 14, houses or anything like that. We thought maybe if we could get the drainage to go correctly and route it around, we could probably have 6 nice homes comparable to what's in and around it. I would not want to go 8 or anything like that. I think 6 would be a good number. And the utilities go down the middle. We did talk about just to get the ditch drainage study was going to be about $8,000. And so we went to the county commissioners, and they were very open to let us, get it with them paying half. So they will pay $4,000. So we do have to figure out where we're going to get the other 4. I think Craig and I discussed a couple options and things like that. So once you get the ditch drainage study, and that will tell us, how much it's going to cost, and is it comparable to opening up some places to build. I mean, I already had a contractor ask me to get it, could I get a lot to build an affordable house on there or whatever. So,
Or somebody, I think, mentioned they wanted to buy the whole property.
they did.
But
Yeah,
that's,
and I'm like, well,
yeah.
but I think Craig and I visited, you do not want to get just one person getting that hole tied up and then not doing something with it, I would assume, so.
And the discussion I had with you guys as a board is we could go to a sealed bid, we could go to an auction, we can do that if we want to. If we do that, then what we don't want to have happen is somebody buy it and hold on to it for 30 years, 40 years. We want housing to go up there because we have a desire, a serious need for housing. It's desperate, housing around here, and that's a desirable location, in my opinion. So the point is, we want to get housing going. If we put like a stipulation in that the houses, the lots have to be developed, let's say within 3 years and built on, and let's say they're not, then we have to come back and enforce the letter of that agreement. We don't really want to get involved with this. In my opinion, you guys may feel differently, but I don't want to be a real estate agent. I don't want to deal with land. The partnership we can create with Rhonda, and she has people who know that they want to build, they want to get going, they want to make that land there desirable for housing that's very, very nice, very similar in nature to that area. She can make those things happen without us having to deal with those, legal agreements for people to get the houses built on that land. So, Kansas statute 7232-3216 says that, we can choose to do what we want to with property as we see fit, as the board, I should say we, as the board sees fit. It's not a piece of property where it's at a Saga school where you have to give the state right of first refusal on that. It's a piece of land. So, here's that information. I don't know if you have any questions for Rhonda or me that we can possibly answer.
So the thing that I have with that, and I agree it would be a good idea, but how do we enforce what we really want? I mean, do we have a homeowners association or what in that area that says you gotta build this size house, this kind of house, whatever? Because, I could say, I wanna buy this, I wanna build this, and I don't, build a little 800 square foot house.
If you have control of the land, then you could have someone bring
the complete lots are a little bit more than 2 acres, if I remember correctly. So if you were divided up into 6 lots, it'd be 1/3 acre lots, if it was 6 lots.
That size block, I live a block away from there. Most of them have 6 houses on it. You're not talking a gigantic house in that area. I know one side of it, Osborne, the road that I live on, has a pretty wide right of way, so that limits, and I've gotta guess that the road right there in front of the high school is gonna be the same way as far as limiting how close everybody can get. The right of way is a lot larger than what people realize because of where the water lines and stuff are, so.
So are you wanting us, is the goal for us to sell it to the housing authority and then you do it? Or like, it's a partnership that housing authority takes control of it, and then when you sell a lot or whatever, then it would be something you could compromise on how much that would be, or what?
Well, there's nothing decided.
Right,
This
right,
is
right.
Getting
Right.
sites, bringing that up, some
Absolutely.
different ideas and things. I would have to go to my board even to see, we've discussed it, of course, but whatever we come up with and then see, we don't have to own the whole block. It's just that what would help you guys and help to get housing in here
Right.
and done right, not just,
Have you
Yeah.
done an agreement with like Gridley with their city on the housing thing?
Yes.
How did that work?
well, we actually own the lot, because the city had a group that they just gave us the lot, so we were the So then we needed a little bit extra land, so we went to that. So the city had some funding, so they said, hey, we partner. Again, they didn't wanna like build the house, they didn't wanna go out for bids, they didn't wanna do the stipulations on it and stuff. So they asked us if we'd partner, and so that's what we did. They put up half the money, and then we've got it completed now, and then we'll be selling that. We'll give them back their money, and then we'll do another one, hopefully, or something like that, so.
So is that what we would like to, or you would like us to pursue something
Well,
similar, or?
It could be possibly a partnership if you wanted to. I know you guys don't wanna be in the house building business and everything, so that's what we have to figure out, where we can work together and help you.
Right.
So here would be a possible idea, this is one idea, and there are others, and we're just brainstorming ideas. Let's say, for example, we find out that a 1/3 acre lots, I'll just throw out a round number, let's just say a 1/3 acre lots in Burlington have a value approximately, let's just say, I'll say $10,000, I don't know if it's 5, I don't know if it's 10, but whatever. So, we could say, if that lot is sectioned off and Rhonda has a builder and they want to build and they establish a sale price for that house, add on the lot price, and when it's sold, we would get money back from that. That is one idea. We could sell the lot individually, like to the housing authority or to a builder. Those are other options too.
Is it legal, if we were to sell a lot, could we legally put in there, you have to build a house within so many years or whatever? Because then once they buy it, it's theirs, right?
We did that, we did that actually with the housing authority. We had a lot, and we said, we want a house built on this lot, because it was a good lot, by a certain amount of time, and if not, then it would revert back to us, or we'd buy it back, of course, but, and we talked about that.
You could set it.
See the verbiage, they have to get it in.
Do you foresee, so this $8,000 I saw the commission voted to do you foresee other expenses
Well, we
beyond
don't
that?
know how much it's gonna be to, get it in place. That's the next step, and we'd have to, either go back to the commission and ask for additional funding or whoever. We are just getting the study so that we could see, because no contractor is probably gonna wanna fork over all that money. And if we could, get it, that would help some, so I do not know. I visited with the city about, it could be a retainage box or something, I'm learning some of this stuff
Yeah.
too. But we want it done right, we don't want any problems, I know it's working now, but we want it to, be usable land and to make it go right, we don't want any problems.
Right.
With drainage.
And I know that the water, tying into the water for some of those houses, like, with the Paynesville, I know that was an issue. Is that an issue because it's
No,
in
the
city
utilities
limits?
are down the middle.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
You're it's a great place to just go, so.
us to continue to explore this, bring back more information in the next month at the March board meeting, continue to explore, gather information.
I think it's a great idea to keep exploring it, and just us having this conversation about it, maybe someone sees this and they have, maybe a developer does have a, hey, I have a plan and a contract and we're ready to rock, here's my price, I'd be willing, and then we open it up to more people, not just, I'm not saying that we're just one person here, one entity, but just us having the conversation will start to add some interest to it, so I think that's.
What about the drainage though?
Yeah.
Where are we gonna find the other 4,000?
Well,
We'll figure that out, but
Let's say.
the big thing is, you know, once we get that expensive, then the lots are gonna get more expensive, of course, because we're gonna have to recover some of that somewhere.
At the very least, what we would do is just, for the sale of lots, we would recoup the if we contribute $4,000 towards the half of the $8,000 drainage study, we recoup that money from sale of lots. Or, like Rhonda and I have talked, I don't wanna, we have talked about other possible entities that may be willing to contribute to that other half. We haven't had a chance to get that done yet, but that's what we'll be doing this next month.
But we would have to do the drainage study and then do whatever the drainage study says.
If you wanted to, yeah.
So
Yes.
that's
That
two
could,
bids.
and that's where the conversation could
Yeah.
go, is we have the drainage study that says this needs to happen. And the contractor might say, I can do that, I have the equipment, when I build houses, I can do that, yeah, I don't know.
Personally, right, I agree with Lucas, I think we need to keep pursuing it. Since we built the fields, that block has gone into disuse, it's just costing us money in property taxes and the rec center, time and effort.
Rick certainly got to know it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know the value of it will probably go up over time, but
I
how
think
much
it's
do we wanna set on it?
You know, great location for some houses and stuff, and I think it'll just improve that neighborhood overall, as long as we keep it.
Yeah, and it needs to be done right.
Done right, yeah.
Yeah, we don't wanna cause anybody else to have flood that.
Is the neighborhood good with that idea of putting up housing there?
But we have not explored any, as far as talking, I've talked to one person in that area and explained what we're thinking about doing.
Yep.
Like say, the city has it plotted out, what was it, for 14, but that's not, that, I have no idea why, so that is a rumor. We're not putting 14 houses, it's somewhere between 4 and 6.
Yeah,
And
the
they're
lots in
gonna
that
work-
area are real long and narrow, it's bizarre.
And they're going to look like the houses in that neighborhood, if we set those parameters.
We just want to help bring housing to the community. And we want them to be desirable homes and tie in with the.
Great location, really.
So it's obviously zone residential, so that, I mean, if all the neighbors around didn't want it, they could sign a petition they didn't want it, I mean,
Actually,
you can't
Jenny
really.
said they can't really do anything about
That's
it.
what I was thinking. So is the drainage study something that the housing authority also would have some funds to help pay, so it wouldn't just be all of us, so it would have to be us?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna have to be
Just
whoever
questions.
owns it, really,
Yeah.
I don't think we.
Right,
really
put
get
money
into
into
that.
somebody's.
But if you.
We just want to help facilitate,
Yeah.
and get to a point where you can see what's going to be required, the drainage to even make that correction.
Say, find the $4,000 to pay for our half, and then put that on the tally mark for you to recuperate when we goes away.
Or if we can somehow come up with some funds from other.
Yeah,
Anybody wants to donate.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you pass it back.
Bake sale. Okay, with your approval, it sounds like Rhonda and I are gonna continue to pursue this, more information monthly, and, when I share some information with you guys weekly.
I appreciate that you went to the commission and talked to them, at least got half. I did see one commissioner person that voted against it, he said the reason is because he wanted to pay for the whole thing.
Right.
Yes,
So I did appreciate that comment.
yeah, it wasn't against the project, it was just.
Right, he wanted to pay for the whole thing, so,
And I appreciate that.
me too.
And the consultant, or the engineer, is also going to send us a contract, so you can look it over to, of course, to see what they would want, so, if you're good with that, so.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
know this gets said all the time, but I really enjoy that we bring the high schoolers down.
Yeah, that's,
To me,
those kids are.
for the little kids, I know that's a big deal for some of them, and it's nice seeing that, and then seeing them show up at the games at the high school, and, you know, half the time they're there to hang out with their friends, and they're not paying that much attention, but it just, I don't know, it just ties it all together in my head, so.
We say every year when it's Meet the Cats Day that, they can come all the time, because when they're in our lunchroom, like, the kids are like amazing. Like, how often do you wanna come to our lunch, do you do this? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a fun day.
Well, good. Thank you, Darla. Matt Spring. You're up.
We did have our letters training today, it went very well, as well, it was more comprehension based. So everybody was really able to benefit from it today, and they're actually able to make some, lesson plans per se to be able to use the next day too. So that was good that they were able to actually take something applicable there to transition back to the classroom.
Say that, I appreciate the student of the month stuff, and the sponsorship, that's amazing for those kids. Thanks for doing that. It's great.
I think,
Yeah.
Classroom is the thing.
Yeah, I like
Certainly
where we're
appreciate that
including
he
the
does that,
sponsor.
so, huh?
I like where we are including the sponsor in that,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that.
I think they really enjoy coming out too.
Good.
Okay. Anything else for Matt? Jody, high school.
We have a big day coming up on the 25th. Everybody's a little bit of everywhere, taking a little bit of everything. We send our freshmen over to Flint Hills to take a little tour, and they get back in the afternoon. I know I announced, and the looks on your faces when I said that, so the ACTs to be optional. Only 3 students opted out, and so did our kids. We're knowing that we're really trying to hit it hard and with the seriousness of this, how this can benefit you, so we really hope that with that, and we're preparing them, but that they are, everybody's not, everybody is taking it seriously and not just looking through because it's a free test from the state. And then we have the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, and that is also that day. So we have everything going on, the seniors. So you do see some people eating lunch out in the neighborhood of that day. Some are dismissed, and seniors come in and get additional 45 hours on scholarship help, because that's one thing that they said they need, and they can work on their senior portfolio. So it's a kind of not a free for all day, but I would say free for all is like treating those young adults, making the decisions and giving them additional time along with this free test there. And then last month I did, the breaking news was that for the ACT Berkeley scores, and so they're kind of just visiting on in there. We did see some growth in our second set of fast bridge testing, so we are encouraged by that. And then today we looked at the interim testing data, which our ELA do need some work on. And so I think that's where so it's our sophomore English kids, and that's where our focus will be for the testing. Gave us a rundown from the fall. I think we saw it on the slides of like what those questions were. Well, this set of questions and these concepts are different, obviously, for this time of the year. We did not do well in ELA math. We are looking good, so we have some focus to do on our sophomores in ELA, so before they take that state system.
And then with the activities, just things that happened at the end of last week that aren't in there. Added to the state qualifying list for forensics, Mallory Over and Corinne Bolden both qualified for state this last Saturday, so they're added to that list. And then our Scholars Bowl team, regional champions, that happened on Thursday evening. That's Mallory Over, Edward Kruger, Brandon Hazlett, Chloe Gosney, Isaac Brinker, and Matthew Deckett, with Brian Bruning as the sponsor. It's our first time advancing the state and Scholars Bowl since 2021, which is when we last won regionals. And the best finish we've ever had is 3rd southeast of Saline High School in the state championship this coming Saturday. So that was exciting news for them.
Very cool.
Good luck to them.
Mhm.
I did, can you remind me, I don't know if we knew, but what does HOBBY stand for?
Thank you.
Hobie?
HOBY, what does that
Hobby.
say? Is it an acronym? Is it a?
Yes, it's something, it's
It's
a leadership.
Sorry.
Hugh
O'Brien Youth Leadership.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
all leadership.
okay, HOBY. I was like, I don't know what HOBY stands for.
And
Sorry.
I think they stopped it for a couple of years during COVID or something, and like it didn't happen for a couple of years, I don't think.
I'm not sure about that. It's been forever,
Yeah.
but they did have some additional openings, and that's what, I'm very proud of our kids because, they sent me an email, so they had additional openings, and so I told Donna, I said, hey, I don't know if anybody else wants to go, but there was enough that, multiple people then applied and got in. This is a really good opportunity, and when they come back, they have leadership skills that other kids don't. Our 4-H kids have great skills, our FFA, these are some other additional kids that just get a different experience. So it's a really neat opportunity for our kids, and to be with other individuals of like-mindedness, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to catch up.
Put on the spot, I should have put it in there.
Sorry.
I was gonna ask if you didn't.
There's just so many
It's bothering me
acronyms
too.
that like.
Thank you, anything else, Jody? Moving on to this draft.
I don't have anything major to add. Joe and I did just come back from the winter conference, and that was really pretty good. I wouldn't say it was the best conference we've ever gone to, but, we still got some good information, and it's, not far away, so that's nice. We've started some interview processes for professional positions open, today, and, we're still hiring paras as they come through for this year, so we're just kind of keeping them along.
What is the MOE?
Maintenance of effort, so it's a state report, it has to be done every year, and it's kind of a lot more in-depth than this, but I'll give you the 1,000-foot view is, it's kind of two-part. One, we have to budget more than we did the previous year, for special ed, and two, we have to spend more each year, or the same, and so it's how we prove that happens. So all 3 of my districts have to report out, and then I have to do my section and then submit it to the state. So it's currently been submitted, but the state has undergone some changes, and so we had some questions that they couldn't really answer, and while we were at the winter conference, we got word that they were extending the deadline yet another 15 days. So I know it's not just us that have those questions, but it's submitted, so at this point, if something's wrong, they'll just kick it back for us to look at again, but we didn't want to not meet the deadline either, so, but we're trying to work through the state on that. So the board clerks are instrumental in getting me that information that I need, so for here, that's obviously Christie.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nothing else for Lindsay, we'll move to Greg Goulden.
In addition to the technology report that I submitted, our CTE pathways, I believe now 12 of the 14 have got their approval. And just, we're still a month away from the deadline for submitting them, so those should be coming soon. The civil rights data collection has been completed. Christy and I are working on the EDCS, and hopefully I think it will be completed this week. I believe. Training's going well on Skyward Cumulative as we get ready to move to it this summer. We have bi-weekly meetings with Skyward, and they're saying we're right on board or ahead of schedule on training and that, so they're very pleased with our progress. And we are our contract with Board Docs is up as of February 28th. They're planning a kind of a forced migration to their new product, and their price is going up quite a bit. And so Craig and Christy, and actually James was around, so he was able to sit in on it. We looked at Board Book, which a lot of schools around us use, and it's actually kind of like a, I don't wanna say sponsored by, but they've got a connection to, KSB?
KASB.
KASB.
Yeah, KASB.
And so,
They're endorsed by KASB.
yeah, and would give us a significant savings of even what we're paying right now. So, you may have a new product, to do your voting on and all of your information starting March first. So we're kind of on a short deadline to get that, up and going, but they, said that we should be able to do onboarding within a week or two and be ready to go. So, we think that's the direction we're heading.
Would all information migrate over that's already in?
So, we can manually migrate it, so we've been working on, getting it off of the Board Doc site. If that was the way we decided to go, we were preemptively getting it off of there. And so, all of the old data may not be there March first, but within the days and weeks, after we get set up, we'll
So-
get historical data.
So at the KASB conference, James and Bob went to, Board Book was a session or a vendor that they had there. To give you just a rough idea, Board Docs, which we currently have, is going up to $11,000. Board Book is $6,000.
What is Board Docs right now?
9,000.
So it's going from 9 to 11,
Yes.
this is, okay.
They are having.
That sounds about like what they told us when we were there, right?
What we don't wanna do, and Craig, Christie, James, and I said it on the, it's very similar type of a product, but I don't wanna bounce back and forth. 2 years, 3 years, we do Board Book, and 2 years, 3 years, we
Right.
do Board Docs. So, but, I mean, when you go from, well, where we can be at 6,000 with the product to 11,000, I mean, 5,000's not a huge number in our budget, but that's almost doubling the cost, and we can't have, if we can save, and you think about everything we do, if we could not double in cost, it's gonna save us a lot of money, so.
That's enough to pay for a drainage survey.
And Craig did challenge them on the price a little bit to see if they do anything else in there.
I called Board Docs to see if they would match Board Book, and they said, we'll quote you at your price from last year, because you've been a loyal customer, and that's over $9,000, so.
Is there anything you don't like about the other software that you're looking at? Any drawbacks?
I don't think so.
It'd just be a learning curve.
Yeah, just a little bit of a learning, but very similar.
We're very confident in Christie's abilities.
Is it just a 1 year, like, would it be 6,000 per year and then down to 12, or it's a multi-year contract?
I do not believe it's going to jump, because I think, again, they're tied in with KASB, and they are
Preferred vendor.
wanting to do, I think they want to have theirs be the prime #1 choice for board meetings and to house board information, so. Can't hear.
Will actually do the billing, and, so the invoices in, we will pay KAS.
Nothing's guaranteed, but I don't think they're gonna jump our price to 11,000 in year 2.
It's just a 1 year.
Year to year.
So we're actively looking at that, just simply because, again, it's not that 5,000 is real money, don't get me wrong, but it's double the price of what Board Docs, and really, we're not seeing anything that would indicate a need to have Board Docs for 11,000.
I don't want to stretch this out, I just have one more question. So there's a lot of times I'll jump on Board Docs to look up something in the past. You say you're downloading stuff from the server prematurely right now. So that will upload into the new one, and we can still go back and look at stuff?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's the plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
On a different subject, I mean, I love all the, stuff that we're using technology for, but I just thought it was super interesting and something like I didn't think that we would need to teach kids, but it's great, is that, learning about misinformation and developing skills to identify false, information online. Like it's, I think that that's really.
Well, not just that we're doing it with kids at that age.
Yeah, first through
We're
fourth
not,
grade.
we're not waiting until they're sophomores in high
Right.
school when they've
It's
already gone
little,
down that
it's
track.
young kids that we're saying, not everything out there is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting.
You kind of look back at even back in the nineties even, there were websites purporting the tree octopus, you know, and, you know, there were pictures, you know, but
Right,
they were
so-
fake pictures, and, I mean, that was out there, and people were reporting that was a real thing, you know, there's
good
other
skill
things,
to-
but
yeah.
it's a good skill for even the young
Young
kids
kids.
to know that not everything is true.
Right,
out
just because
there.
it says it or has a
Exactly.
picture, especially with the AI and, you know, everything,
Mhm.
yeah, so, just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, moving on to superintendent's report, Craig.
Yes. Here's some information, as we are starting into, getting ready for state assessments, because of the high standards that the state of Kansas sets. You can see that kids, how they score on the state assessment, tests, they do really well. Even the level 1 kids, which we wanna have more kids, obviously in levels 2, 3, and 4, they still do very, very well as they end up graduating from high school at 81% rate. Again, this is due to, again, the high standards that the state of Kansas sets as far as their cut scores for state assessments. And again, we're not all about state assessments in Burlington. It's something we do and we want to do well, but there's a lot more obviously to evaluate how kids are doing, but this is just one thing that the state does have us do. Item number 2, I want to introduce Lori Johnson. Lori's been here before, parents as teachers representative. She's got some information to share with you, and early education is so important, so vital to what's happening with kids. And Lori does a terrific job with our Parents as Teachers program. So Lori, you are on.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. And if you don't know what Parents as Teachers is, it's an early learning program for families that have children prenatal up to 5 years of age. The biggest thing I think that we really need to know is that a child's brain grows more between birth to 5 years of age than any other time. And so I work through Greenbush, and so we have approved curriculum. I go and visit families once a month or twice a month and provide them developmental information. We talk about family well-being, and then we also hit a lot of developmental topics like discipline, health, nutrition, transitions, like helping families with transitions. So we have a really good program here, and I just appreciate all the support. We just received our blue ribbon, which is every 5 years we have to go through an accreditation process. And so that's why we get the cups and candy. It's a big celebration because it was a big deal. So we're really proud of that. Any questions about
So
anything?
do you work with the early learning center kids also, or?
I can,
Yeah, okay,
yes,
so-
and I've been in contact with Lexi. We just had these new flyers printed, and I always say the best way to get families to join is by other parents telling them about it. And I'll tell you, Lexi's been one that's pushing it. So, yeah.
I was just curious if you noticed any difference in those kids, or, I mean, because we certainly here, and believe in this early learning center is a big plus for us.
I have noticed a big difference. I feel like families are not stressed out because the learning center is always open. You know, when there's really great providers out there, but, you know, if they're sick, they're closed, and some families can't do that. And I really like hearing from families, like, they'll say, yeah, they painted today, and there might even be some evidence on the child. And so I feel like they're doing a lot of things well, and I know we've talked about, one thing Parents as Teachers does every year is we do developmental screenings, and I know the Learning Center's using that tool also.
I know we weren't living here at the time, we were living in Missouri, but we contacted parents as teachers for our kids when they were younger. Young parents, hey, the kid's doing this, is this normal, is this an issue? And they came in and it turned out there was no issue, but just the peace of mind of having somebody who's willing to come, you know, non-judgmentally and be like, hey, you know, yeah, what you're seeing was in the normal range, and, you know, it was definitely a program that we found beneficial. And even though we weren't super involved, we did, you know, just that part of it, you said the assessments or whatever part helped us.
Well, we
Yeah,
certainly
same.
want to thank you for what you're doing, no doubt. And then, how long have you been doing this?
26 years.
Save you
I took a little break from I worked at the hospital a couple of years, but I went back to parents and teachers.
How many families currently?
Right now, we typically serve about 25.
In this district, or?
Yes, in this district. And I also do, just so you know, Leroy Gridley, so, yeah, if you hear me running around, that's how I do it.
So quick, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said busy,
Oh,
very
yeah,
busy.
definitely.
Yeah, and just to echo, what Bob said, yeah, it's just a wonderful program, and I'm glad that we can support that.
So quick reminder, Darla, help correct me if I'm wrong on this. We pay for 25 slots for Lori through the grant that we received from Mobilizing Literacy through the Walter and Evan Jones Testimony Trust Fund. And so we pay for those 25 slots from the grant that Darla and I have worked on, Amanda Briggs and others. So that's how we do this funding for parents and teachers, and it's very, very beneficial. Lori is terrific, she's wonderful. Again, kids, when you get kids, they don't come with directions. So it's good to have somebody who can help support those families and those parents that just want to do great things as parents, but haven't been parents before. So anyway, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all your dedicated time.
Thanks for the.
Next item for my report, I shared with you some information. I had some board members contact me when the article in the paper did come out in regards to LifeWise and their information here. And we have representatives here tonight to discuss and to talk. They shared some information about LifeWise. I shared some information with you all, and I've kept you informed dating back to September of 2024 about LifeWise and the contact that's been made with me. And I wanted to share with you kind of that narrative timeline, if you will, and just our thoughts. It has been something that we have discussed as administrators, directors. We have discussed this not only once but twice. I've shared this information with you guys as board, and I want to just emphasize, I think it's a good program. I do. But I've given you guys recommendation from us as administrators and me as well, that we just don't believe it's something that should be in our public schools throughout the day. For a variety of reasons. There are so many different reasons, and I could go into a lot of them. And I shared this with LifeWise, some of my concerns and the issue with, one issue I will just throw out is if you let one group in, where do you stop? So anyway, having said that, I don't know if you guys, if you want to share thoughts, make comments or anything like this, you sure can in terms of this information I've shared with you. And again, I want to emphasize, I think LifeWise is a really good program. I think it, in my opinion, needs to be outside of school hours.
I just wondered, so I had a couple calls on it, but there's no working outside the box, like the after-school or any of like an option for after-school program, or or summer or off-day school, and I can't speak for all the teachers, but just the curriculum they have to cover for the state is so much, and so I just, I know that you talked about, in the 5 minutes you were talking, that, it's during the school day, but is there ever, do they consider after school as an option or non-school days or, those kinds of things? So I just didn't know if there's any room for wiggle there, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, I agree with Greg that it's a good program and that, I'm certain, we have to be really careful about, separating some things. So, making an after-school option, I think is a great idea, just to, where we can get it during the school day.
Sure, yeah, for the legality of it, it does have to be during the school day, but I will say our steering committee is very much willing to be flexible, try to work and make the program for whatever it would work for the district. We are willing to do it just in one grade, if that's what would be allowed, so we're willing to be flexible, whatever time would be given, so.
The benefit of actually doing it in school is the children whose parents might not be able to get them to the program, it actually gives all the students and parents the opportunity to participate. And the parents do have to approve and sign off on it. So one of the challenges with doing it after school is what if the parents, can't pick their kid up or drop them off.
So again, I can go through a lot of different, thoughts. I'll give you an example. Okay, what happens if it's bad weather, getting to and from? What happens if there's kids that have IEP support and need that to be able to go over with this program? That's not allowed, that will not be covered, Lindsay can't make that happen. What happens if, I mean, I can rattle off a lot of
Because
things
this
here.
has to be outside of the school, it has to be held at a
Correct.
different location than.
And then what do you do
What
with the kids that
happens?
say no, the families that say no?
Yeah, what happens, I wanna say, what happens if, I'll talk about food service. We can't just sack lunch meals because those are not reimbursable meals, if I'm correct. They're not reimbursable meals. We can't just sack lunch, and that causes extra time for our food service staff, which our food service staff is challenged already as it is. What happens if the lesson is set for 25 minutes and they get back at 40 minutes? What happens? I mean, I can come up with a lot of reasons, and I've shared this with the LifeWise representation. Again, the program is terrific. I think it's good. In my opinion, and our administrators and directors wholeheartedly, 100% unanimously agree, it should not be during the school day for just those reasons I've shared with you, and I could list others.
And I wonder too, maybe think outside the box as your group. I'm not saying LifeWise isn't a good program, but maybe there's something else. Other churches, lots of churches have done things after school. I'm not saying that you want to do that, but it's just like, okay, if this really isn't exactly how we want it to work, maybe there's something else we can do. I don't know what that looks like, but, that's just something, just an idea.
I think, I'll kind of reiterate what Craig said, was that, a lot of information was brought to him, and administrators have looked at it and kind of made the decision, so I feel like that's been made, and I support that, and I think the LifeWise program is great outside of school hours. I've got a lot of other questions, but you asked me to have an open mind, and you're gonna bring more information, and I will honestly tell you, I will exactly do that. I will listen to anything. I do think it's been asked and answered essentially.
And if I understood that the location was gonna be at the Methodist church, was that right?
Correct.
So the kids would be walking from the elementary school to the Methodist church, and you have a 25-minute time slot?
Whatever time slot the school would provide.
But if we take, but if
A
we
lunch
say,
period.
But it would just be, are we just talking elementary? That's all we've ever talked about, is it
I think so.
middle school or high
It
school?
could be.
Okay.
It would
It does.
If
start
you
as
take away,
elementary.
I know what you're saying, but if you take away that and give them more time, so you're gonna take away from something else, right? Yeah, you're shaking your head, so.
So the law is very clear. Students must be released during school hours for religious instruction if the parents want that to happen. LifeWise Academy gives you the opportunity to control that time. Because right now, if the Catholic Church says, we want our kids out on Tuesday mornings to do this, and the Methodist says, we want ours on Thursday afternoons, it's chaos. This gives you an opportunity to control the time, say, here's the allotted time, and you can figure it out. Without that, the law is pretty clear. You can't say, no, we're not doing it.
So when does the chaos start? Because we've been public education for a long time.
Yeah.
So when does the chaos start for that?
And so when parents say, we're pulling our kids out for instruction, that's when it starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll wait for that, I guess.
Yeah. And the reason the Supreme Court got involved was because of parents, and primarily then in the Northeast, it was Jewish parents and Catholic parents and some Lutherans that said, we want our kids to learn this. And so.
Are there any communities like religious communities in our area that do have programs that are before school? Like they show up at 7 a.m. and do stuff?
You guys have one in Madison, right? Is that,
So Bethel does
Madison and
this.
Sebastian are
Yeah,
the
in
closest.
Eureka.
Eureka.
I think you're talking about an open mind, and let's get some information on this.
100%, yeah. I won't, and you all stand by that. I will listen to you.
yeah,
But we don't want to get ourselves in trouble legally,
I don't want 100%, yeah.
No, we do not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think we look forward to looking at some more information, so get that for us.
Johnny didn't get any information, so.
You need to get some.
My challenge also would be to the board is if we, understand this is a great program, I've also looked into it. I think it's a great time slot, but we also have to challenge ourselves as a board and say, we don't have art in some schools, right, elementary school, we don't have body shop at the high school. So those are some other things that we would have to consider and say, we're letting something else take our kids away from class. Are we not allowing an opportunity for the kids to learn something else? You know, take that time away from everybody, to have other avenues to do other things too, I guess. But there's other extracurriculars that we don't have, but we could also.
So this is kind of been plotted out for around lunchtime?
That was what was brought to us the last time that we met. Is at lunchtime.
There's some benefit to the kids during the day having some downtime as well.
And we've heard some benefit to the teachers as well, because they actually get, potentially, whenever that time slot is put in at Madison, the teachers would get an extra, like, partial plan periods. And one of the benefits is it brings the community in to help that want to be involved in school. Actually, it helps support the school even more, because now you're getting community involved in teaching and supporting the school and actually giving teachers a break, not adding another thing to their plate, but actually removing a little bit to give them a little bit extra time.
And again, I think we'll wait for more information, but would you say, well, these kids, the teacher gets some downtime, what do you do with the kids that aren't going to the program? So somebody's still gotta have instruction with them, they've gotta do something, so, again, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no easy answers.
Yeah.
We've talked about the lunch period. I will say as a committee, we've kind of gone back to the drawing board and we're looking more at like being one of the options on this special rotation.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your.
If I give
presentation.
him, then you can just drop it off at, okay.
We got it.
Certainly, any information you have ahead of time, or whatever you wanna get to Craig and he can
Yeah,
forward
I
it up
appreciate
to
that.
us.
I will be happy.
Did you say Madison, Sabetha, and Eureka?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, have a good evening.
I've shared some information with you about KASB's goals for upcoming legislative session, because you're starting to hear information in regards to what's happening in Topeka. So these are just the focus on what KASB is focusing on and what they're looking to try to publicize and move forward with as far as public education and some of the things that they're really focused on. Again, public dollars for public schools, full funding for special education, re-up the finance formula, and hopefully with an increase in that base A for student excellence, develop, recruit, and retain great teachers, and then restore flexibility and local control in serving at-risk students. So those are their main goals. And there's a list of dates, because guess what, guys? February, March, April, May, it's happening fast, it's gonna happen quick, and we'll be at the end of the school year before you know it. So there's just some reminders. Any questions for me?
You may have questions?
If we have one more snow day, then the 21st.
I'd say there's a really, it all depends too on when that snow day happens.
Well,
When that snow day happens.
potentially this week.
Okay.
Yes, so Christy and I, oh gosh, yes, I'll just say that, oh gosh, yes.
Okay,
Snow,
that's why I just wondered
weather.
if we have one, is it one more and that goes away,
Well,
or
but
just depends?
herein lies the problem. If we have that snow day this coming Wednesday, there's still a lot of winter left, guys. And if we don't make up, if we don't have days slotted in to make up or start adding time, we may not have any snow days, but we may have 5 more between Wednesday the 12th. We may have 5 more between Wednesday the 12th and let's say March 31st.
Yeah.
So
No, I just didn't know how many more,
it all depends on, again,
yeah.
if our next snow day were to occur like April 15th, we may not have to, I don't know when that was, or April 10th or whatever, I'll just throw out April 10th. We may not have to make that day up. But if that next snow day happens on Wednesday,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to notify parents because they are maybe planning on a 4-day weekend. And on top of that, we are gonna probably have a Dollars and Donuts betting guy, if I'm a betting guy, probably gonna have another day or two.
Yeah.
So it's
This
all,
week is
Yeah,
And-
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm
So,
asking.
if you've got a crystal ball, magic eight ball, it's.
No, I sure don't, neither do the
So-
weathermen, so
And
it's
so it's,
anywhere from like
yeah,
2 inches
We're
to 12
good.
inches.
we're good right now.
Okay,
We're good right now. Thanks for asking though.
Yeah.
For another 24 hours.
Okay, 7A.
6A.
6A.
Six A, I'm sorry, yeah, board reports. Any board members have anything?
So I do actually, so I'm, if you'll take our last one. So, a couple weeks ago, I think it was in I don't know, it's a couple weeks ago, when Craig put out some information, about, Burlington Early Learning Center, it jogged my brain again, and for some reason it kept in my brain over and over, so, all right, you gotta step up. So, a couple years ago, we talked about having a school foundation, and Craig at that time, it was in 2023, and I have a copy of it, but I just didn't make copies for everybody that I can send out, but we talked about doing a school foundation at that time, and then it, you know, you get busy and all those things. So I just put together kind of a, information sheet about what the purpose of an education foundation is. So currently USD 244 does not have a school foundation. The purpose of the foundation would be to raise funds, obviously, for the receipt and distribution of funds for our school students. So basically what it would be, and the benefit is, you would be a 501c3, so nonprofit foundation, where people's donations would be tax deductible. You could qualify for many, many more grants that we currently do not qualify for. You could have matching funds for grants that we currently do not qualify for. You could have pledge initiatives. You could even tie in, and I haven't talked to Darla about this with high school, but you know, maybe it's something that like the elementary parent support group, you know, kind of gets encompassed in that, or catbackers or something, so it's more of a school-wide initiative. Alumni would be a really good avenue to be part of the foundation, and obviously for funds. Many schools do have foundations. If you research anything, these were just a few I found. Chanute, I actually reached out to Kathy Emily. She's like, oh yes, and we have a room, and we have this, and so she was telling me some things. McPherson, I'll like that. Eudora has a very good, there's a connection on their school website to their foundation. They have like a pledge day, and there's all sorts of things. There were just some ideas that I put down of ways to raise funds. I am definitely willing to step up, and so I'm a Christian, and it just keeps coming back to me, so that's just why I'm here. Anyway, so I don't know if anybody else would be willing to step up and be part of it. Craig had sent out just to make, I just said, hey, can we talk about this again? He said, yeah, and here's the bylaws I created. So he has like 4 pages of bylaws that he had from McPherson. I don't know if there's another board member that would be willing to step up with me and kind of get this rolling, or if nobody's interested and I should just let this die. But I do think that we are missing out, you know, like for Burlington Early Learning Center. And so, you know, we really need to be, and Craig's done a great job writing grants, but there are many grants that we cannot qualify for because we don't either have matching funds or we're not a nonprofit foundation that. And I'm not saying that the money should just go there by any means, that's not what I'm saying. But,
I think I'd be interested in assisting with it. on that.
okay,
I think it was a great idea because I just was visiting.
Yeah.
I try to stay on top of the early learning center where our funds are at.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, we don't need grants for so long, and then, you know, it's been a great program, and we just gotta, and we have been consistent as a board saying we're not gonna take it out of general fund, because that's taken away from other employees, et cetera, so we have been pretty consistent with that, and we wanna stay that way, and we need to find a way to fund it. So,
Yeah, I'm willing to help too, because like,
Okay.
you know, the Burlington Early Learning Center, there was a lot of doubt and question, I think, from community when we started it, you know, that there wasn't a need and, you know, whatnot, and it's been proven that it fulfilled a huge
And I
need.
think that,
Yeah, and so, and we did make that commitment to fund money, and, if we can do, by doing this, if we can qualify for more grants to
Yes.
keep that going. And also the fact that people, other districts in the state are copying what we're doing because they saw the huge benefit of it. I just really wanna keep it going.
And I do believe it is very interesting because initially, you know, we had a lot of like, you know, that we shouldn't be in that business and, you know, I somewhat agreed, but then on the other side of it, who's doing it? So if somebody's not taking care of these kids already. We know that they're coming into the school and they're not prepared, they're not ready. I mean, we have some right now that come that I think the administrators could attest to. And so it is, not to take anything away from the local daycare providers, they're doing all they can, but they can only take so many, et cetera, and all that. So the more of that we can get, but, we need, and again, people, like Krista says, people says, well, how you guys doing that? How you funding that? And we say, well, we get grants and all that, and they go, what? How you, they're taking it out of their general fund. So,
Somewhere.
so, yeah. So anyways, I, whatever we can do, get community support, and so Craig has talked lots of things, Christie's talked lots of things, try to figure out ways that we could, you know, fund it, so.
You know, even like larger employers, like a lot of times their employees can donate to 501c3s and they'll match funds, but since we're not that, you know, we don't really qualify for that. Well, you know, several of us do work at Wolf Creek, and that is something that, you know, like they'll match funds if you donate funds, but, you know, we just can't, we don't qualify right now because, right. So
I think if we do something like this, we do need to work closely with like the catbackers, cause
Yeah.
there's only so much to be donated.
Yeah.
And if we're taking some of it,
Yeah, I
we're
don't
not
want
getting it.
Right.
So I think that line, that way we don't create some kind of rift there
Yeah,
between the two
right.
groups. It needs to be considered pretty heavily.
Right. I think a lot of foundations, from the research I've done, which isn't tons, but I've done some, you know, a lot of times like alumni, so like people, they don't, you know, people for 50 years, you would reach out to them, or, you know, like, this is what we're doing, and a lot of people like to support, you know, their alum. I'm not saying for sure that would happen, but, you know, I think those are just things that people would consider, and, so, you know, if we could just be, you know, it's just like, we've got to get this off the ground. If
Well, and
that's
just for the option of that much more grants,
Yes.
and for the ability for companies to donate also.
Are there any other groups besides catbackers that we need to take into account?
Parent support group, probably.
Well, let's not forget about, we have teams and groups that do fundraising on their own too. I guess my question would be is if you have, for example, we had, I know we had, money come into play with like sending the, forensics to Florida last year. We paid part of it, they had to figure out part of it. They did fundraisers. If this group raised money, would they be able to help out with stuff like that?
Sure, absolutely. Like,
Well,
it
I
would
think this-
establish a process.
Yeah.
I think this is early on in the process, we just talked about, so, yeah, I think we all think it'd be a good idea, that we'll look forward to that. And, but all those groups need to be discussed, I mean, we don't wanna leave them out in the cold and say, but so if I'm hearing everybody right, we need to move forward, with discovering more information, et cetera, so, okay?
Okay, all right, I'll set up a meeting with Selena, James, Greg.
Great,
Thank you, thank you.
7A Curriculum Leadership Institute contract.
This is just a renewal, there's some historical data that Christie has provided, thank you for doing that. You can see that they have been remaining consistent with over the last 3 years, their fees. Again, just approval for a contract, for them. We, again, have a slight increase in days. Remember, we have a number of new staff that are working, you know, with COI, the curriculum process, time spent with their colleagues and Stacy Bruton and so on and so forth. So that's why slight increase in days, but the rate hasn't changed, if that makes sense. Questions on the COI contract?
I just have a comment. So I think Stacy came last year.
Yes.
Kind of gave some information. Is there any way you can get some of that?
Yes, we are,
Yeah, that's
yes,
good.
we're kind of force feeding a little bit here, and, And Johnny and I have had lunch already, we're planning on having lunch, and then we're gonna do a KSB board training session, and so yes,
So
good.
I know that last year, the information that Stacy shared with us was very good, and it kind of opened a lot of board members' eyes up to what actually gets done, so, you know, before you just go ahead and vote for that 20 grand.
Good, now that you're aware of everything, you want to make a motion to approve the CLI contract for 25-26 school year in the amount of $19,975.
I was like,
Motion second, discussion. Submit your vote. Cast your vote. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, lost my mouse. Motion carries 7-0.
Just 7B,
Seven B, KN complaint, which is our policies, KN complaint investigation report. Need a motion to, and everybody's probably had a chance to read that, I'm assuming. Motion to accept or reject the investigation report from the KSB investigating officer in regard to the KN complaint, to a KN complaint.
So a reminder, you guys, you did move forward to take the complaint and have it be looked into. It was looked into, you received a report, and that is something that I think you received a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. And then now it's a movement forward to accept or to reject that report.
I'm going to accept the investigation report from the KSB investigating officer in regard to the KU complaints.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion. Cast your vote.
And quick reminder, KN is just the board policy. K, it doesn't have Kansas, it's not a Kansas abbreviation or anything, it's the board policy.
It's kind of like the GAFF
I'll wait
and
till
all
you
those
read
good
all
policies.
the different, yes.
Yes,
Well, we got policy updates coming up, so it's one of those.
yes, yes.
Make no sense, but anyways. Motion carries 7-0. The gymnasium scoreboards.
Okay, this is again a project that Taylor and I have worked on, also Jody's been involved with this as well. We are looking to update our scoreboards at Burlington High School. We're starting to have some issues with those. As they get older, there can be lights, there can be upgrades to consoles, there can be just a variety of different things. So having said that, we came up with a bigger and better idea with this and with some sponsorships. And we met with a number of sponsors, and they are willing to provide, again, that funding piece. We have created what's called Anchor, Founding, Premier type sponsors, and they're willing to pay for some additional advertisement, as well as the advertisement package that Taylor provides with them for activities, so on and so forth. So long story short, this new project will be 2 brand new scoreboards and a new, much larger, much better graphics video board. And basically, we have the cost of this paid for over a 10-year period from our sponsors. They're paying a certain level of sponsorship based on if they're an Anchor, $4,000 a year for 5 years, and then $2,000 a year for years 6 through 10. If they're a founding sponsor, $2,000 a year for 5, $1,000 a year for 6 through 10. Or if they're a Premier, $1,000 a year for 5 years, $500 a year for 6 years, 6 through 10. So we actually have this project paid for, and we have 3 sponsors that are potentially out there, if I remember right, correct, that may be signing on, they're just going through. So having said this will be a very nice upgrade, improvement. A neat thing also about this is there's a curricular aspect to this. So We have help me with the classes at the high school.
Digital media.
Digital media, some of the kids are really excited. They are gonna be able to create some promo videos and maybe some advertisements using, our local kids. Or they may create hype videos or whatever. You get the idea. They are going to do this. There's a curriculum that Daktronics has through this. Actually, some of these kids that have had Daktronics background actually go to college. Daktronics recently had a student, I think it was from Abilene, ended up at, I think, Forte State, working in doing their graphics they've got so many different, either whether it's a football stadium or a basketball gym for those events that they have, and they have got scholarships for these types of jobs. So having said that, there's a curricular aspect to this that could lead, who knows, maybe somebody will be doing graphics at Arrowhead Stadium from Burlington, or graphics at Kauffman Stadium, who knows in the future. So anyway, we have this project lined out, and they'll be ready to put it up, install over the summer, and do training, and get us ready to go for next school year. It'll also be a nice enhancement for the many, many, many different things that we host here, and the events that we host in Burlington. So I don't know if you have any questions. Taylor, did I miss anything?
I just wanna say, as the resident clock keeper,
She uses it the most.
that the other piece is with the shot clock piece, right now, the two devices don't communicate together. And so, Mariani does a wonderful job, but it would make that job even easier. And it's not that I wanna get rid of Mariani, but as we have to have two people for another facility or train people if he can't be there, it would just make that job a little bit easier. And we don't have to, we have to go through all of this with the refs every night. They don't talk to each other. We do and we've been fine this year, but it would be really nice to have those two connected and talking to each other so that.
So, I'll preface my next question with this question. So can that be fixed?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, with the scoreboards we have now, no.
Yeah.
With the new scoreboards, yes, because like Charlie in the middle school, they have Daktronics scoreboards and Daktronics shot clocks, and so they connect. So like we had the tournament, and we had varsity over in the middle school, so we used the shot clocks.
Okay.
It was incredibly simple and worked perfect. At the high school, our scoreboards are Fair Play, and our shot clocks are Daktronics, so they cannot be connected.
So my next question would be, can we repurpose those? I don't know that we're gonna need them anywhere. Can we repurpose those with another school or something that, that?
Purple wave.
That Fair Play board is old.
Is the rec center, what are the rec center, or do they have Fair Play?
Fair Play makes a ball player.
I'm not sure what the rec center has.
Theirs is, really.
It's old.
Theirs is even older.
I just asked that, somebody may,
They even use the little table toppers.
Right, that's why I wondered if they might want,
I'm not saying go break your neck trying to find out how you get rid of it, but if somebody wants it, hey.
So the east or west wall,
It'd be on the
both
west.
sides, it says.
The clock would be on both sides, it's just the big board.
So my question is, does the whole thing turn into a digital display? Cause we just see this is the picture. So does this?
The whole part on the
this
left is
thing?
all a digital display.
Okay,
On
and
the
then
right is a scoreboard.
This
and
would
then
always be the sponsors
yeah,
on the
sponsors
bottom,
on
and
the
this
bottom are
scoreboard would
permanent.
always stay. This
Yep.
is the part that would change.
There's
Okay,
a change and be essentially an LED screen
okay.
is how they
Will,
told us.
will we lose
Right.
those sponsorships on our other sponsorships? That's what the state's
No, no.
That'll stay.
That package that they will,
Okay.
no, that's gonna be tied into this new
They
package.
would give us.
Correct.
Just the wrestler.
And again, those sponsors that are, whether they're Anchor, Founding, or Premier, they get the total package of all advertisements.
So this board here would stay?
No, it will
This
go.
goes
That
away.
board would go.
Okay, and then this is where their ads would
And
be.
that board is, I have that laptop in my office, and it's like launching a rocket every time I turn it on, how loud it gets, and trying to update it, it's just, and you can't, it's just old.
Yeah.
So this one, and that one's gonna go, and then this will be in its place,
Okay.
and then those same advertisers, like those that aren't the Anchor, Founding, or Premier, but still wanna be on the board, and wanna pay the regular amount to just be cycled through during a game, they will still be part of it and can still pay their whatever $200 to just cycle through. Because that digital LED, and it'll look better too, because the LED board.
You'll be able to read the numbers.
Right, you can read the phone number, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Technology has just improved over, believe it or not, and I think that board's 8 years old. And we were able to pay off the digital board through advertisements, so, and then some, so
It
anyway.
looks like a light bright.
That's a good comparison.
It'll be a lot more graphically appealing.
Taylor, did you get all the donations for that?
Say that again.
Did you get all the donations?
Myself and Greg, we had like three different luncheons.
Yes.
Different people, and then as some folks started committing, it started with one luncheon, and then a few folks committed. Then we had another luncheon, because people heard about people committing, and then they were interested, so.
A bit more?
Man, almost, right? We still have three that are interested.
We still have maybe one more luncheon.
That are there, but yeah, we did that throughout the fall, and so, I think it'll be really, really good, and for those places, once they see their logo up there permanently, I think they're gonna like that
So
one.
any board members are interested, there's still opportunity.
To be a sponsor,
Yeah.
you just put my name on there?
And Bob.
Just Bob. Yeah.
Sponsor's extra.
Questions? Any other questions? Good questions.
What's the drawbacks? Is there any drawbacks to making this decision? It's getting paid for.
No one else going?
Yeah, I mean, guys, we're not having to pay for a new scoreboard. It's over a 10-year period, so we'll front the money on a capital outlay because it's a capital outlay purchase. We do not have to go to bid for this because Daktronics is a preferred vendor through the Greenbush Purchasing Co-op. And we've had tremendous success with Daktronics equipment. We've been thrilled. Their customer service is top of the top, best of the best.
What kind of a warranty is on Daktronics?
I can't remember what the warranty is, but it's I say they have been great partners to work with.
I just remember, I don't know what the hospitals was, but it was like within a year, and it had started having problems. Oh, they got a warranty.
Well, we had, our old clock didn't sync up with the new Daktronics scoreboards, and they came back out and like met with us, and another guy came again another day to sit in there in the baseball press box and showed us everything, how it worked, how it.
Good.
Yeah, he was very thorough.
Yep, it's been smooth sailing since then.
You said we have a few spots available. At what level?
Any of the 3 levels.
Yep.
We have a few spots available at any of the 3 levels.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
There.
No, I just don't understand.
The Plumber Foundation. So, Ron, to your point, I bet you more electricity we have to pay for it. And on that point, do we have electricity there to?
No, electricity's all, it's there. It's already there currently. We have it for the scoreboards and we have it for the current video board. Margarito doesn't have, there'll be an installation fee that we're working with. I'm working separately with the vendor because if we tie it in with Daktronics, they'll mark it up a certain percent. I don't want to do that. They've given me 2 or 3 different vendors that will do the install, and I work directly with them, which will cut the middleman out and save us money. So it'll be a turnkey project when it's all said and done. This is the cost for all the equipment, and their installation will be a second dollar amount, which I've shared with you approximately, again, we're still getting the actual numbers there, somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000. But if we get 1 or 2 or 3 additional partners, that'll be paid for too.
Talking about adding this to like a classroom curriculum to digital media.
Yes.
Or where this is another thing, is it looks like we would have to pay $2,500 a year to access that program.
Yes.
So that's something else that I guess we consider, if we wanted to teach that somewhere in there, it would be paying $2,500 a year to access that material.
Any more questions on that?
Let's see what the customer care was. Must be the highest tier.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the quote from Daktronics in the amount of $108,106 for the new VHS gym scoreboard /video.
discussion. The only discussion I have is, so we have firmed up pretty well the people, the advertisers, and so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's down under the,
Right, it just doesn't say.
To the point where if we filled them all up, like we haven't filled up, like what Greg said, Bob was asking, like now all 3 levels, like if we filled up every sponsor we have available, every anchor sponsor, every founding sponsor, we would almost get close to doubling what we would need. So it's filled up with what we have.
That makes a lot more sense.
There are
than-
more, there's more room.
Yes.
To where
You could make more math.
And I would,
math wasn't math.
He's math and it just
Let's
makes
add it up.
sense.
yeah, so it's we have 75,000 committed for the first 5 years, and then 37,500 for the second 5 years. So if we got every anchor sponsor filled and every founding sponsor filled, that would
It's almost.
put us, we're about 4,000 over the bid right now for what we have committed. And so we would be, anything other sponsors we get will be more than the quote.
Gravy.
Great,
Pay
fantastic.
for that survey.
Okay, so further discussion, cast your vote.
I'm throughout.
Motion carries 7-0. Okay, I think we've had lots of discussion, back and forth about, the, elementary, school. And so tonight, we, can, we're asking to adopt the resolution. So I'll read the resolution authorizing providing for the calling of a bond election in Unified School District Number 244, Coffee County, Kansas, Burlington, for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the district the question of issuing general obligation bonds of the district and providing for the giving of notice of the bond election. Okay.
So
I haven't made it yet, I was just reading that, so, yeah, I guess I am making a motion, yes. So,
I have a question.
okay.
So, my question is, so when it just says new elementary, so we could do birth to 5th grade, like we can choose, we're not discluding the preschool by saying this, or if we want to do that with everybody? or-
we, depending on what the price, we could cut something, so.
Right, but by just saying elementary, we're not
We're not, no.
locking ourselves into not having the preschool and whatever else we choose, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, any more questions? So that motion to adopt resolution number BS 021-2025.
No, I have the same question.
So, I made the motion.
I'll say,
Motion second, discussion.
and honestly, more information to come.
Lots of.
Right, lots, yeah.
This is put in motion for the.
Okay, cast your vote, please.
Hold on.
Well, hold on. There is
Donnie's
discussion.
question.
Well, in this document that's attached, there's a Kansas statute 72-5457, question mark at the end.
That's what he talked about today. We have to have, no,
So this will be the question that's on the ballot right here.
Yeah.
Shall we, blah, blah, blah,
Shall.
blah. So that's the question. People are gonna vote yes or no.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
That's the question, is that question. Okay, sorry.
No, that's good, good hey,
Good question.
we've
Yeah.
not, yes.
okay, no further discussion, cast your vote, please. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, just a quick bit of information since the motion, since it has passed, had a preliminary informational meeting Architects. Preliminary meeting, they want to provide, they'll pay for this, this is on their dollar. They want to provide a company called Bowercom, B-O-W-E-R-Com, Bowercom, that will help us to get information out, to help us to provide and support, again, the information as far as for the bond issue. So they are covering the cost, GMC and Architects, Bowercom, B-O-W-E-R.
But who's providing that?
GMC and our architects,
Okay.
Clark Simpson and their company.
I've never heard that, I've just always heard
GMC.
Clark Simpson.
Yeah.
Clark
I didn't
Simpson.
realize they had another title.
So
Yeah.
they will help us get information out, put together promotional advertisements, and they'll work on maybe website creation separately from our website, but could have a link there. They do this is what they do. They'll be getting with us here very soon to have an advisory committee meeting with our advisory committee, people, our Board of Education, and sharing, what they can do to help. They say essentially it's 6 weeks. They want to get information out the last 6 weeks before a vote. You don't want to get information out 9, 10, 11, 12 months. That's too far. Of course, we wouldn't be able to do that anyway because we didn't know about this until now. But 6 weeks is when you want to give the public as much information as possible, share with them what the mill levy is going to do, share with them what, the plan's going to be, and so on and so forth. So more to come.
Were they any part of the people that came to the public meetings?
Yeah,
The
the
gentleman
architect.
totally separate.
GMC and Clark.
GMC
Yes.
was the.
Yeah, Clark Simpson was there.
Came to.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And then a quick reminder, again, it's just so that you know, we cannot endorse like a vote yes campaign. In other words, I can't send out an email to our staff and say, hey, you all need to vote yes for this or else. We don't do that. We don't do that at all. We can encourage people to vote like we would. Get informed and vote, just like we would in a presidential election or, a county commissioner's selection or whatever. We want to encourage people to get informed and vote. And so we wouldn't, twist arms. We don't do that.
Yeah, information.
Information. So there'll be a lot of things coming out, a lot of meetings set, a lot of information shared with the public here as we move forward. And thank you all for your time. You spent a lot of time over the past, I want to say 14 months. I want to say Darla as well, and a number of the Community Advisory Committee members. They've spent a lot of time, energy, and effort on this. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you, Greg. Results report, who wants to report on the results report?
Social studies.
Yes.
Social studies, we still do the project in 7th grade, and then our teachers actually grade that. Again, we haven't gotten any feedback from the state on that. Jenny Anderson did go to a recent training, and we can change and evolve a little bit with that. That we will probably look at doing that. It doesn't have to be as big as what it currently is. So we'll look at making some changes to that, and it can actually be what they're currently doing in social studies, and not actually stopping and doing a project with that. So, science-wise, 5th grade performing above the state. I think when you look at the upper end, 29% of our kids compared to 20 of the state is pretty impressive. That would have been Jean Ingles last year teaching, and she did a really, really nice job there. 8th grade, again, that is the freshman class, kind of a lower performing group. Although in 5th grade they did perform better on it then. We haven't had a ton of time to really dig into this just because of letters training as a staff to be able to sit down and look at this. But as we have given our spring and fall interims, we are performing right at the state level, above in some areas. If we perform poorly on like a question on the interim, the state perform poorly as well. If we perform well, the state perform well. So we're seeing that direct correlation there. So if maybe 25% of our kids got it, on some of them the state 18% got it, or vice versa. So just being able to utilize that interim data to impact what we're doing between now and the state assessments. So for example, today, Mrs. Urban and Mrs. Salisbury had time to be able to look at that interim data even more closely.
Okay. Any
Yeah,
more
'cause it's
questions on that?
concerning that we lose them. I mean, as they get
Yeah.
older,
Yep, and that,
We have
you can look at
class.
that as 11th graders. When they took it in 8th grade, it decreases again.
yeah.
So, also, you know, Deb Reed taught 8th grade science for how many years? And so she figured some of those things out where you have Mrs. Salisbury, this is her second year.
Right,
And so some of that just takes time.
right.
Do we always see this drop with age, or is it over the past 4 or 5 years?
I'd have to go back and, I'd have to go back.
I
and
only
look at
ask
it.
because I'm curious, and I know I'm looking back and talking about a bad time period, but I'm curious if COVID had any effect over the past 4 or 5 years, that maybe we're still seeing some repercussions of that.
I would say COVID did have an impact.
I would guess
just
if there was
on the
things that-
ability to read and things
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
I would think that would carry forward for several years.
For our high school, you have your urban space science and your physical science and your biological sciences. And so like we pulled out today is to take a look at where we're at in second semester juniors and what they've been exposed to. So based on everybody takes their science, everybody takes biology, other than that, they start choosing, right?
Right.
And so that second semester junior year is not gonna look the same for, the prescription's not gonna look the same for our kids. And so even though I think with our scores, you're gonna see down, what we've been looking at is that STEM score. Are we giving them a well-rounded experience? Because again, this is one shot at a test, but we wanna take a look at that, the science, technology, and engineering, math, and what we're seeing and what we're focusing on is some of those scores as well. And I think in the long run, I mean, I think, yes, you can say some is with COVID, but for high school, it's because of does that make more sense, is the choice of classes?
It does. I mean, I would imagine the kids that are in high school now were fairly old when that happened anyway, so I would think it would not have as much of an effect. I would think the elementary kids at that age would. But yes, I understand what you're saying, that by doing the STEM thing, it removes some of the variability and schedules out of it.
Yeah. And then, I guess, for us at the high school there, this is the ACT trends, and I've said that this is the same chart, you guys, this is the same chart on every single results. So we just moved the arrow over. So you can see where our science is lower. And, so we're looking at that, but we have a list, by what we're doing with the triangulated piece with FastBridge, with interim data, and then we have FastBridge. We now have 9th grade taking ACT, all right? We have the 10th grade taking ACT, we have the 11th graders taking the real ACT. And so this is the first year we've had 3 pieces of data, and we'll be able to follow the class of 2028 through this. And so we have to have a starting point, and I feel we're in a good spot with all of this to really track where we're missing, where we're lower. But again, I think for us, looking at a 5-year trend, we took a little dip, we'll get back up there, I'll be. And then the next one is, this is that achievement in STEM. So if you take a look at, and I am blind, so if you look at average math scores, 28.8 is ours, and the state was 28.2. This is what I'm saying, and when you say numbers don't match up, this is where it kind of gets a little crazy, and I think you guys like a little bit of numbers. And so you've looked, our average science scores of our students is like 29.5, and the state was 28.8. So there are pockets that we're doing really well in, but then when they come back to just the science, that's when you see the composite score, or the score of 17. So we're doing some great things, and so we're not worried. And heck, look at our science kids and what they're doing. It's just, we're always looking at the data. And so again, we'll keep looking at it, so don't get worried, is what I'm saying. And then the one thing I people to understand is the benchmark and the indicator is college biology. Okay, so think of our kids, they're second semester juniors. Some of them are just taking physical science, right? And some of them are taking chemistry, some of them might be enrolled in college biology, but
STEM scores, we're talking about the percent meeting school, so we've dropped from 14 to 6. To 20, so what's the latest of that?
Where are we at?
You're on there.
Right in the
Oh,
middle.
That second column.
Here.
So the state's 12 and we're 6. Yeah, you're up there on that.
Right, and so, so what you can see though, is look at the positives.
Yeah, no, I am. I mean, but you talked about,
Yeah.
so we go back and look at what their STEM, and it's
Sure.
well-rounded.
The state lower, so the state dropped, and so we honestly stayed the same, so if you
Right.
notice, like, so that's where we kind of go up on that 28.8 over to the side. And so, like, 6% of our students met the benchmark where they're saying that at an average is the 12% of class, of the state. And so it's not 12%, but 6% of our kids are scoring.
Well, 12% ain't good either.
I know. So this is newer within the last 5-6 years on the ACT that they're putting the STEM score together. So, I like to throw it in there because, I'm gonna show off that we're above the state in something, right?
Well,
Our math is.
it's just interesting, they did that, then over here, it talks about students meeting STEM benchmarks, and then, we're up on that, so we're up, the positives, there you go. Okay. Here's my question. I'd say if you wade through all that stuff, you're doing quite well.
Motion to accept the results monitoring report concerning science and social studies as a reasonable interpretation of the Board of Education's results policy.
Second. Motion second, discussion. You guys are looking. Motion carries. How about that? A little premature, maybe, huh?
It's coming.
It's coming. Don't let me down now.
I think we know what James voted.
Motion carries 7-0. Yeah.
Policy updates, yeah.
This is one of my favorite.
I wanna go through these and give it enough time, but I also don't wanna, spend hours and hours. I think you've had a chance to look over these. So I'm gonna go through these, but just please stop, just a couple of quick things. On BDA, it looks like there is one typo there on the historical policy file. It says the clerk shall keep historical set of board, should keep historical sets of board policies. So that's just a simple typo there.
I do wanna add something really quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I did notice that on the red line, to show you all what the changes were, there were a lot of typos, but when you went to the corrected or acceptable ones
Yeah.
to fun and play, they were already corrected there. So they were small typos such as that,
Yes.
plurals and things.
Yes, they got that corrected. If I go too fast here, because I'm just going through page by page here, there's a lot of just red line corrections. If there's anything that you have or noticed, I'm going through the DFAC grant, subrecipient monitoring procedures. Again, there's a whole lot there. If you look, let me see here. It was a typo. I think it was Munder instead of under. The amount made available under each federal award, it should be amount available made under each federal award. That was in one of the pages on the DFAC grant. Subrecipients, again, typo like Christy mentioned. There was another typo as well. Again, we got those taken care of. So I'm gonna keep thumbing through and get to a couple of more meaty adjustments. And if there's anything that you all have noted, And say, just let me know and refer that. The DFH, so this is the next one I'll go to, fundraising activities. So Taylor, Christie, and I reviewed these, and then we're also going to be going over these with middle school as well to make sure that, again, everybody's in line here. On the fundraising activities, DFH, it would be the third paragraph down, the last sentence. It says, door-to-door sales are strongly discouraged. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but we're going to discourage those. Faculty and sponsors shall not require, and we crossed out or promote door-to-door sales. Because when you say strongly discouraged, doesn't mean you can't do it, but we prefer not to have that happen. So we felt like, in talking with Taylor, Christie, and I, faculty and sponsors shall not require door-to-door sales, and just get rid of that or promote. Felt like that's what we do. If you go to DFH2, and it's gonna be the 1, 2, 3, third circle down, DFH2 fundraising activities. At the end, it says, last sentence, no money raised or items purchased shall be distributed to individual employees without the express written consent of the superintendent or designee. We decided to add or designee in there. Could be an activities director, could be a building administrator, that type of thing. So we just felt like adding superintendent or designee there would make sense. I reviewed JGF GAA with Lori Herman. And having said that, go to the JGF GBA. JGF GBA.
Hold on.
JGF GBA.
Okay.
And it's underneath epinephrine and inhalers. Lori felt like she wanted to include the word this, so the self-administration of this medication, and just instead of saying just medication, self-administration of medication. Some people might look at it and say, oh, all medication. Well, it's underneath epinephrine and inhalers. She's very thorough, which is really good in the school nurse. The self-administration of this medication is allowed for eligible students. She felt like what we would do here is in grades 5 through 12, or in special circumstances as approved by a physician and school nurse. She felt like that's what we do here, and that's the wording and the verbiage that we should have. Any questions on that? Okay, continuing on to that next page. Maybe the top of that next one, permission forms shall be updated annually during enrollment. That's typically when we do those, annually during enrollment. Okay, go towards the bottom of the page now, and it's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, it'd be the fourth bullet. Lori felt like we should include this statement in there. In an instance where a student demonstrates carelessness, an example would be an inhaler or EpiPen found around school premises, sharing it with friends, etc. The school has the right to revoke the student's right to self-administer said medications and to follow the school's medication administration policy and procedures with direct supervision by the school nurse or designee. So, don't. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, that's just that's a more specific disclaimer. And then I think we might just about be to the end. I don't have anything else unless you guys do. Thank you.
So I assume that the fundraising policy was asked to be developed by maybe larger districts. But you guys thoroughly looked at it and like
sure, the policy fits what our current practice is. Good, real good question. Excellent question. Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve the ASB policy updates as presented.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing no discussions, cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
It only pops up right after.
Yeah, just the reverse.
Don't need, we do not need to have anything for negotiations, but next month we will, because we'll have to approve the March 31 notice letter.
Right.
And I'm working on training to set up for Lucas, Ron, and Bob. We'll go through some negotiations training, so nothing right now unless anybody needs to discuss something before March.
So, do we go ahead and include the calendar?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's had a chance to look at the calendar, proposed calendar before you.
So again, we put out the calendar, we got comments, made some adjustments. For whatever reason, I know it was requested last year, and Monique shared this with me, and thank you. For whatever reason, we didn't get MLK Day down today as an off day. We do this year. I apologize for not getting that, because that was something that was mentioned before. So, and again, we approve this calendar when we say pending negotiations. The only reason why the negotiations piece is if we lengthen and add a number of days to the school year, that would be part of negotiations. Either we would ask for additional days, or the board, or excuse me, the Bermuda might ask for fewer days. That would have to go through the negotiations process, and the new calendar would have to be revised. So pending negotiations and what people notice, what Bermuda notices, and what the board knows.
Craig, were there any, I know we got some feedback after the first version, were there any major changes that we made based on that feedback?
I'm gonna say, nothing major.
I thought a lot of the feedback was start that week of the 13th, and then that way we could end
Right.
the week of May 13th.
The
Like move everything.
The drawback to that was training for CLI, setting up time with Stacy Bruton. That, there's a time frame there, and then new staff, and our administrators and our secretarial staff coming back, they'd have to come back earlier than August 1. Starting them
Bring back
early.
sped staff before, in July.
And sped staff training for new para educators.
And teachers.
And teachers, and there's a lot that's we're trying to cram in.
Okay.
And
Was
it's
that
just-
feedback given to the staff?
Yes,
Of
I
why-
shared that.
Okay,
I shared that with them
perfect.
via email, explaining why we weren't able to move that up.
Okay. I just
Good, no,
wanted to be
good
sure.
question, good question. I said the MLK Day,
And then fall sports, can they not start anybody till the 18th? That's the other thing, right?
correct.
The day after the Super Bowl's in-service day, so it's popular.
Yeah.
Was it-
I know a lot of people at our work, it's in-service day too.
We had a few asked to be later, right? We're like,
I got a lot of training schedules that day after today, so.
Any other calendar questions?
Entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the 2025-2026 calendar draft number 2, subject to final ratification of the employee contract with VUDA.
Motion seconded, discussion. No discussion, cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, so recess of the executive session for 45 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel exception under COMA, and to return to open session in this room at the end of that time to include Craig Marshall, Matt Spring, and Charlie Whitworth.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Thank you. Tony,
Yeah.
Selena, make a motion.
Motion to recess into executive session for 5 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel exception under coma and to return to open session in this room at the end of that time to include Craig Marshall, Matt Spring, and Charlie Whitman.
I apologize, number of minutes?
5.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Cast your vote.
I don't have anything. Am I the only one?
Nope.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Motion carries 7-0. Motion to recess in the executive session for 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel exception under Coleman and return to this open session in the room at the end of this time to include Ray Marshall.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Cast your vote.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry, Jay.
That's how it gets executive session.
Thank you, guys.
Jay didn't have anything to do until Sunday anyways.
That's right.
Just couldn't come up with a sermon just like that.
Motion carries 7-0. Motion to, no.
Yeah, motion to accept the retirement request of Janet Repper as a gifted facilitator with regret at the end of the 2024-2025 school year.
That's second.
Motion seconded, discussion?
Just make a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, at the end of 2024-2025 school year, Janet will have taught for 37 years.
Yeah, here.
27 of those years have been with USD 244.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wish Janet the best in her retirement.
Yeah.
Are they sticking around here? Did she share?
There's no they.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
Yes. Her and her family.
She still has a son.
Her grandkids
Right,
are here.
and they're all here.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere.
She just has her daughter's son here and her other grandchildren, but her son.
Okay.
and-
John.
Joel, yeah.
Joel.
Joel.
Okay. Submission, oh, did we get a second? Yeah, we did. Okay. Cash votes.
Did yours come out? There we go.
Motion carries 7-0. Motion to accept retirement request of Diane O'Malley as Burlington Elementary School teacher with regret. Now she teaches second grade.
Kindergarten.
Second.
With regret at the end of 2024-25 school year, and a second from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so at the end of 2024, 2025, Diane will have taught for 22 years. All of those are at USC 244. She was my oldest daughter's
Wish her well, didn't?
kindergarten teacher many years ago.
Is her husband going somewhere else or something? She's gonna
Just
retire.
retired.
Bad enough. Okay. Discussion, no more discussion, okay? Cash vote. And we don't have the last one.
Sorry, Lucas, you're just kind of in that for some reason.
There it goes.
Motion carries 7-0. Debrief. No more long meetings.
I appreciate, what was that?
I said no more long meetings.
I appreciate, parents and teachers coming to present and the people about LifeWise.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay, thanks.
Yes.
Sure, but Craig on the crisis training the other day, and it was very well done, I appreciate it.
Good, thank you. We had a really good morning, lots of really good discussion, very healthy. That came from Ministerial Alliance, a reminder back in our October meeting.
One of the questions on here, what portions could benefit from changes or modifications? My challenge to the team here is the admin reports, is the content that we're getting from the admin reports what we need to be reviewing here at the board. You know, is, when you look at that content that's sent to you every month, is that the right level of detail that you want from your admins? So just no, obviously no action, but would challenge you to take a look at those notes and say, is this enough or do I need to add more? And I spoke with Craig from our lunch. Are there any other directors in our organization that we need to hear from? Monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly? You know, we have other transportation, food, and
Maintenance.
Maintenance is the other one, right? We have.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a challenge to you guys to say, is that the right level of detail? Is that the right people that are attending this meeting that we need to be aware of? So,
I would like to hear from the other directors as
Yeah,
well.
Me too. Good
and
point.
again,
New perspective.
Yeah.
so, something to discuss, and what's the periodicity that they would need to be attend, maybe is something
Yeah,
we
we
would
have
need
to
to
skip
discuss.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay, for attending the crisis
It was very good.
training. Yeah, I think,
Well, appreciate everybody's input tonight, so
Can we adjourn?
we stand adjourned.
Thank you, everyone, good job.